So I've been a member since October of 2017. I picked the Death Trooper because Rogue One came out and we watched it together in the theaters, and then that was just kind of the thing. We wanted to find something different. I think the scariest thing I ever did was the first time I took the drill to the helmet to cut the slot for the eyes, for the visor in there. That just was terrifying. It's easy to sand and paint. You know, sand it, throw some primer on it, sand it again, do all that. That's easy. Actually cutting something was scary.
Well, you know, the thing is, we saw this fellow when he came through the door. He is a friend of another one of our sand troopers. And again, we're going to help people out the most that we can. With this fella here, he's received his big brown box, and we're going to go through the steps that it takes and needs to put this stormtrooper together. Fortunately for him, lines are predetermined on a lot of that plastic, so it makes the cutting relatively easy. So we're just going to give him a few bits of advice and stand over him while he builds his armor and make sure that it comes together the way that we want to see it.
Sometimes folks are scared of the build or the process of having to build their costumes, so those of us that have finished costumes, it's helpful to reach out to them, whether it's showing up in person and showing them, or directing them to places online, or talking to them on the phone, or FaceTiming them and figuring out things they need to do to their suits so they can get their equipment up and running, showing them how to use the CRLs, make their things match it, how to make measurements, what equipment to use to make their suits, things like that, get them moving in the right direction so that they can get finished, get approved, and join the group. Well, the most important thing to me is that we go out, enjoy ourselves, and that people have a memory when they walk away from it, a positive memory, that they got to take their picture with Darth Vader, or take their picture with Greedo, or take their picture with Boba Fett, and spend the day looking at it as something that they'll remember forever.
My son was diagnosed with stage 4 Ewing sarcoma on June 15th, 2016. It was the worst day we'd ever had. You guys came in, and I think it changed him for the better. His fever was gone by the end of the day. He was alert, he was excited, he was bouncing off the walls. Wayne came back to his room and gave him a lightsaber, which he cherished. And it was just the best day he'd had ever. Beckett passed away in the same room as you guys came to visit him. That very first, his very first day and his very last day were in the exact same room, 9 months apart. What you guys did for Beckett was, it meant the world to him. And to me.
I like to see the look on the kids' faces. I like to go to the charity events and kind of share the fun of Star Wars and the magic of Star Wars with kids that are sick or shut in, or fundraiser events, or even scouts. I like to go do things like that. I'm less worried about my costume being 100% all the time, and more about putting a smile on the kids' faces because they got to meet a stormtrooper or a sand trooper or a snow trooper.
If you sign up on the forums, you see this whole vast community of members that are able to help you. And once you do that, come out and to an event and learn how these kits are made, how to put together. It could be an event like today where we're at a convention. It could be at an armor party. It could be just going over to a member's house
you'll see so many people reference their childhood, because a lot of us happen to be in our 40s, early 50s, and we were actually there when we saw the original movies come out. When you come together with friends, it's all about making memories. We've got a lot of good people in here doing a lot of good things with a lot of events throughout the year.
So with the armor parties, what I try to do is we have the regional armor, which is Chris Williams. I get with him and we kind of discuss, hey, when are we doing an armor party? Since I've got a two-door garage that actually has a lot of space, we kind of come out. We try to bring everyone from Old Line Garrison in the Maryland, DC area to GT area. We include all the Rebels and all the Mandos. Anyone who wants to come out and build costumes, we bring them all together to learn how to build costumes as well as to put their costume together.
First, but we have a lot of Garrisons with us today. We got Old Line Garrison, which is mine, Tyrannus down in Virginia, Carita from PA, and West Virginia, which is Corellia. We also have the Mando Mercs helping us out, along with the Rebel Legion and R2 builders. We couldn't pull this off just by ourselves. It would be really taxing. And the wonderful thing is that all of our garrisons work so well together that they are willing to help us out, so it makes it a bit more impactful. We can get more stuff done and do more events going on at AwesomeCon. We can raise more money with more people.
For you, the cosplayers, you gotta have your droid present, because if you don't have your droid present, you're lacking something, right? So we're at AwesomeCon right now having the greatest time of our life. All of these guys are coming together, and that's what we're all about, right?
It's really fun because everybody comes from all over. It's not just the two other areas that you work with. People come from all over. We have folks from New York in all the different clubs, Kansas, Chicago, Florida, Pennsylvania, and all the different clubs. So we have the R2 builders and the 501st and the Mandos, and it's all the folks you only talk to online, you get to meet here.
I mean, at the end of the day, the way that I think about it is we're all adults who have spent more money than we really should have on plastic armor, and we enjoy getting into that plastic armor and entertaining kids and other adults, both big and small, who also enjoy Star Wars. If it becomes anything more than that, it stops being fun. And when it stops being fun, you should stop doing it. The DeLorean. It's got to be the DeLorean over there. There's a DeLorean back there that just is. I've never seen a full, time-modded DeLorean that just is it just looks amazing.
I did see you on Wookiee trying to take out a Bosk earlier. That was really entertaining when you don't know what's going on.
We had no idea what was going on. We walk in, he's in normal clothes, it all seems good, and he's like, come up with me on stage. And we're like, okay. The room was empty and dark, kind of weird. He positions us, and I want you to do this and this and this. And then he comes out in this full-length Princess Leia bedazzled lovely gown, and then reveals the buns, and then he spins and reveals his bedazzled R2-D2 booty shorts and matching R2-D2 bedazzled heels, and it was just an absolute blast.
It's interesting. The kids come in and they just run around, bounce around, and we spend a lot of our time just kind of with fellowship between the clubs in a lot of the downtime. Originally, I did this because I wanted to become Darth Vader and build a costume like I think all of us want to do. And then as you start researching that and finding your costume and building it, and then you realize there's just so much more to it. And you meet so many great people, and you see when you come out that, you know, the smiles on the kids and faces, and it's just so much more than the costume. So it always starts, I think, for a lot of people as, hey, I want to build that costume. Now that I'm older, I'm in my 40s and I can afford to do it, and then you just realize there's so much more to it. It's a community, so many great people that you meet, and then you do give back to the community, you know, when we do the charity events and, you know, the multitude of different things that we do throughout the year. These type of things, even though logistically it gets a little overwhelming trying to set these up, especially with an event where the venue's first time, it's definitely still worth the stress at the beginning, getting all this stuff together, because, I mean, if you see now just the kids coming through, and it's just a memory that they're going to have of Chewbacca just walked by, right? You know, so I mean, what else can you say?
We have a fully 3D printed droid. That's John Hag. He has printed everything. So everything that you can get on Astromech is what's called a raw part. It's just in its basic form. You have to finish it, maybe cut it, trim it, and fit it to the other parts. You'll have to paint it and all that stuff. You can get enough parts to make the droid, but it will never come fully assembled or painted or anything like that. Every once in a while, somebody's getting out of the hobby and they'll sell their finished droid, and that's the only time you can pretty much get a fully done droid, is if you get lucky. But other than that, it is collecting pieces, then you have to build it yourself. It has gotten easier over the years. When I first started, it was just plans, and then you had to fabricate your own pieces and all that. And every once in a while, somebody would be offering like a resin or a metal piece. And metal pieces were very hard to come by back in the day. I started out with a styrene droid, and then slowly over time changed it to metal. It took me about 5 years to do. I started out, changed the frame to metal. Then I did the dome. After that was metal. Then I went to metal legs, and then metal feet, and metal detail parts. It just one piece at a time. I mean, there's really not much. It's not as difficult as it sounds. It's just the fitting. That's the hard part.
Well, I mean, we're one big happy family, okay, between all the groups, and we love to hang out with each other for a good cause and just be together and have fun. For the Garrison, I will be posting on the forums, so make sure that you go on the forums and make sure that you go to the latest Tales of Tyrannus.
I'm diehard Mando, despite the fact that I would like to build like an Imperial costume and a Rebel costume. I just haven't figured out what I want to do yet, but right now I'm diehard Mando. I don't know, I've always liked dressing up in costume, and being able to put my own custom spin on a character in a universe that I'm a big fan of is another thing that I enjoy a lot. For us, there are certain bullet points that you're going to have to meet. Proper spacing, proper shaping on your plates, make sure everything is the right size and fitted properly. But other than that, what colors do you want to put on your outfit? How many guns do you want to carry? It just, once you get past the fit and finish of it, the paint scheme is kind of yours. If you want to build a almost Boba Fett outfit like mine, you can certainly do that, unless you're trying to go for specifically Boba, then it's kind of locks you in an area. Or if you want to be bright orange and look like a traffic cone, like my other kit that's over there, you're more than welcome to do that too.
The biggest memory I have of the 501st is from when I was a child, probably around 10 or so. 2007 on TV, I saw the Macy's Rose Bowl parade and saw the 501st March. And as a kid, I was like, that's pretty cool. And when I get older, I want to be able to participate in that. And that's really what started, and it's always been in the back of my head. And after high school, that's when I started getting involved in it, and when I got my first job, I started saving up for parts and all that. I just always liked Boba Fett. He's always reminded me of Clint Eastwood. I'm a huge Clint Eastwood fan. It was about 3.5 years. Thankfully, it went together fairly easy. After I did the first test fit, I identified the adjustments I had to make, and my brother helped me do that. And it was about maybe a month or so after the first test fit, that's when I submitted.
love it. I love the troops. I love the look on kids' faces when we come rolling out of a room like 5 deep. It's a great feeling, especially when you get to go to the hospitals and stuff and go room to room and just see the kids, even the parents. I mean, you got to give relief to the parents too, because the parents are there day in, day out, hours among hours. And I mean, honestly, who isn't a Star Wars fan deep down inside? Some people don't want to admit it, that's fine, but everybody loves Star Wars at some point. I went up to Anna's armor party up in Nova, up in Northern Virginia the first time, and I was just in awe watching people all sitting on the back deck just cutting plastic and, you know, fitting things to them and everything. It was just so awesome to watch. You know, if you really want to do it, if it's something that you're really passionate about, you will figure out a way. I'm a single mom. I work 40, 45-hour weeks. I have off 2 days a week. I still manage to get out and troop and because I love it. And you know, and I started off with a costume that I could sew. I mean, I wasn't a seamstress by no means. I still don't claim to be a seamstress by any means. But I mean, just looking at templates, looking at pictures, figuring out, touching base with other people. I mean, there's plenty of people in the Garrison that you can touch base with and they'll help you.
What would you tell somebody that really wants to build a Star Wars costume, but they feel like they can't?
I would say that you look up on yourself and you just build one anyway.
So, funny story, my mother worked in a movie theater when I was young, like this young, but could never find a babysitter. So I literally sat and watched movies all day long, one of which was Star Wars. I sat through those movies hundreds of times while my mother worked. And my dad worked on the military base, and he would bring me back a different figure every week. Because you know, back then, there was hundreds of figures. If you was in that movie at some point, at any point, you got a figure out. So I was just hooked, and you know, growing up as a kid in that era, that's what you had. Everyone loved Star Wars, you know, and the imagination took over with the toys, and then obviously I discovered hip hop, and they've always been my two biggest things. So combining them together was just natural.
Stormtrooper, how did it feel?
You know what? It's really weird. You put the helmet on and you can't see and you can't shoot for it anyway.
Right.
So.
Yeah, how did it feel to shoot and like not be able to hit anything?
Like normal.
Yeah.
Actually, it felt weird because I'm a good marksman. I actually have a gun, so I can actually hit the target, but these guys, none.
None, yeah.
None. Why am I a fan of Star Wars? To be honest with you, I wasn't at first. I was 10 years old when Star Wars first came out.
You didn't like it immediately?
Did not. You have to remember, and I think you're old enough to remember that the science fiction movie scene at that time
was awful.
Yeah. Dreck, garbage, and
but this one was good.
True, but we were disappointed so many times that
okay.
I was more of a horror fan. I'm like, all right, horror and comic books are my jam. So when Star Wars came out, I'm like, nah, you know what? I've had my heart broken by science fiction so many times before, and then
you were one of those people like lying around the block at the theater?
No, was not.
Dude.
And 10 months after it came out, I was in Florida on vacation with my family. And my father said, hey, why don't we go to a movie tonight? And we did. We went to see Star Wars.
At the age of 23, I had a phone call. Would I go back into the film industry and start on a sci-fi film? The film was Star Wars. I was told they needed some strange characters sculpted, and would I be interested? The first thing that I did, the job on the film I did, was the Stormtrooper armour. I did some finishing work on C-3PO, and then I was called into John Barry's office, and he said, we have a new character for you to start, and the character was Darth Vader. After doing the mask, George Lucas having come up, and he was happy with it. There were no concepts done for Vader. It was a one-off. There was hardly any time on it. I worked 76 days without a day off at one point. It was absolutely amazing. It was a year later in '77. The crew were invited to a crew showing up in London, and we'd all been very pessimistic as to what sort of a film it would be, and we were proven so wrong. When that first scene opens and you see that great big spaceship come overhead, there was a round of applause by the crew, and then at the end of the film, it got a standing ovation by this pessimistic crew that didn't think it was going to be a good film. We were just knocked out by it and realised that it was way ahead of its time.
You got to remember, Ming, back in the day, there was no VHS, there was no streaming,
no Netflix.
No Netflix,
There's no
nothing.
Netflix.
So you either saw it in the theater or you didn't see it at all.
Right.
And movies came in, and if they were good, they stayed in movie theaters for like, what, 2 months? But Star Wars was in for 10 months at that time.
Yeah.
Like, well, I guess it's good.
The Star Wars universe can get very, very complicated. And Star Wars, everything Star Wars is now with us, the fans, comes from expression and creativity. And don't be scared to think outside the box. Nowadays, when I first did my mashup, it was kind of unheard of. But now everybody's doing it. Some people like it, some people don't. But guess what? You invest hundreds of dollars and hours of time to go to conventions. Have a good time. Be yourself. You know, do what you want to do.
I love it. I love the 501st. I'm an honorary member and proud to be an honorary member of the 501st. And I had a photo shoot with the 501st. There are about 120 stormtroopers, and they were very respectful. They took the helmets off to have a picture with me, and then they put them back on to have the next picture. And I went to the end of the line, and a young lad who was terminally ill came out in a wheelchair. He didn't have long. And I said to the stormtrooper next to me, I said, how do you guys do this? I'm tearing up here. And he said, why do you think we keep our helmets on? We always have fun with you guys, and keep it going. Keep trooping.
Squad was the first squad in the Garrison. We have, I believe, 24 members. Our squad is located in southwestern Virginia. Our range for the region is from Bristol all the way as far over to Lexington, Bedford, down to Martinsville, basically the entire left side of the state. We gathered for our monthly armor party at Evan Schrantz's house. We're trying to do once a month. We get together, we work on armor, we eat, we get together and have a good time. We try to just build our own community within the Garrison.
hospital troops, mom said, or somebody said, man, this kid, he hasn't smiled in a week. And we came in, he was huge smiles and everything, and you're glad you got the bucket on because your eyes were misting up.
I think the main reason I wanted to join the 501st is because I didn't know growing up that there was this group of people that loved Star Wars, and it was okay to be a nerd and dress up as a nerd.
The most meaningful are just putting smiles on faces. I know that sounds cliche, but there really is no better feeling. From the most serious of troops that we do for hospital visits and stuff with sick kids, seeing the joy you can bring to them and their families, people that are going through so much, all the way out to like your big cons where there's just fans of the franchise going around and just the smiles on kids' faces and the adults alike.
See the kids in the hospital and to see them light up, like that was when Disney talks about being a magical place, like that's a magical feeling when you see these kids just light up and you see the enjoyment in their faces.
Going to the hospital with one of the other troopers and just seeing the kids light up, walking through the wards, some of them had cancer, some of them they try and be upbeat, and then the looks on their faces when these Star Wars characters walk in made it all worth it. If you've ever delayed wanting to join the 501st or thought you couldn't do it, it's doable. It's affordable. It's not cheap, but it's affordable if it's something you really want to do, and you'll get all the help in the world. Don't be afraid that it's something too hard to do because it looks so complicated to make.
Well, if you're out there building a kit, keep at it. If you're having trouble, find somebody that can help you out, because we're out there to help, and we can give you some tips.
One of the big motivators for Aaron and I, and we had a couple other folks in our group, was the team dynamic. Like I said, building these kits can be really hard. It took us 3-4 months, and it really, one of the major motivators for us was each other, because we didn't want to let each other down. We knew we were all keeping pace at the same level and the same spot in our kit, and we knew if we didn't show up at a particular night or whatever, we were going to get behind. So if there's an individual out there that's struggling with a particular kit or whatever, reach out to the community and find someone who's building the same kit. I guarantee you'll find someone who's at some stage of building that kit and ask for support, and together it makes it a lot easier to come to a completed product. So,
for anybody that wants to join, it's not as complicated as you think. Some of the easiest characters are your crew level characters. The tie that I'm in now, this is the tie reserve, but if I took off my gloves and my comm pad, it's a bridge crew. And this is a very simple black jumpsuit, belt, and a hat, and boom, you're in the 501st.
I don't even remember how many years ago it was. I was visiting a friend of mine in the hospital. I've always loved Star Wars, but I just happened to, out of the corner of my eye, see the white armor go walking by me, and I was like, whoa, what's going on here? And I found out, that's how I originally found out actually about the 501st. Obviously I'd heard about it, but I'd never actually had any interaction with it or even really had any thought about it. But I saw that, what was going on, and I found out what was happening, and I was like, oh, that, I have to do that one day. Just plain and simple. I mean, I love kids, I love giving back, and so for me, this was the ultimate merging of everything. Star Wars geekdom, getting to actually have the costume, and then getting to come back here and do what I saw happen.
it's part of why we do this. It's one of the most rewarding troops that we get to do because we really get to give back to the community in a way that you just don't always get to in other troops. For me, I like being able to be a character that I love and to also give back in a way that you can't do this just walking around on the street. There's something special about a kid getting to see the character that they love or just the universe that they love and have it come in there. Especially because these kids they're not here because they're having a good time. So if we can just make their lives a little bit happier, that just makes me happy. And I feel like we're doing something worthwhile.
A bunch of people came in dressed like Star Wars characters, and the Stormtrooper danced, which is cool. And we talked. I did trivia questions, got a really cool card and some dice. Yeah, yeah, that was fun. Today's been pretty fun.
That's our motto, bad guys doing good. I mean, you wouldn't expect the bad guys of Star Wars to liven up the day for any of these patients. And, we've got a couple kids that, unfortunately, we see here almost every single month. You never want to have to, see the same kid over and over and over again. But when, we find out from, like, the doctors who know we're coming, they're like, hey, he's had a really rough day or she's had a really rough day. They might not respond so well, and you walk into that room and they just pop up in bed. It's just like, yes, that right there, that reaction is why I'm doing this. Get out there and troop. That's why we're here. It doesn't matter. I don't care what troop you go to, what you do, whether it's a con, whether it's a hospital troop, go to a library, go to a school. Get out there and troop. It's why we're doing this. We want to get out there, and it's fun to own the suits, but we're not doing anything with them. They're just sitting there in the closet collecting dust. So it's find something that you love and just do it.
I like the charity events. They're more personal than the Comic Cons and such. It's for something worthwhile to get behind.
It's charity, and there's a lot of kids and a lot of happy people, and they're smiling, and it's good fun.
It's all about the kids. Life is about making memories and having a great time. So that's what we're out here doing. How many events have you been to throughout the years that you've actually seen people that need that duct tape, that bit of glue, et cetera, et cetera?
Almost every troop. I've had various parts falling off of my first order TIE fighter pilot, and Scott Hulls was running around with a repair kit and some glue, and he helped me there.
One of my armor pieces just snapped. I was like, oh no, we either go home and fix it or we fix it here. And luckily we had our kit with us, so it saved the day.
CA glue, mostly, a bit of zip kicker, Gorilla tape, things like that. Zip ties, especially zip ties.
Duct tape, of course. CA glue, snaps, styrene, Velcro, elastic, hot glue, and a hot glue gun.
Gorilla tape, Zap-A-Gap, Velcro, and magnets.
I love costuming, and it's a big thing of what I do, so it helps give me an outlet.
For people that want to come out and give it a try, come out and handle it. See what it's like, see how the crowd reacts. Before you spend any money, see what we do, see how much fun we have, and go from there.
This is Air and Scare. This is our annual Halloween event here at the National Air and Space Museum at the Udvar-Hazy location just outside of Dulles Airport. This is one of the biggest Halloween events and best known Halloween events here in the National Capital Region.
And spaceships and planes, you can't beat that combination. Plus the fun part about coordinating is that I get to plan some of the photo ops, so I get to picture all the different characters together, and it's like playing with a life-size action figure set.
I am an aerospace engineer and an officer in the United States Air Force by trade. I grew up with Star Wars, and I used to sit at home drawing the Star Wars spaceships and just like, yeah, I want to be part of that. I mean, this literally inspired me to become an aerospace engineer and a military officer.
Then you walk into here and you're going, that's not a fake spaceship, that's a real spaceship, and that one really went into space. See the debris on it? Yeah, that's not paint. To be able to take them back to someplace and all of a sudden they're happy again. There's a joy again. There's the woes of the world go away from this thing from their childhood that's now here. And with the backdrop and sets that we've got out there, oh man, it just goes right in, it just works.
You know what, those kids inspire me. I just see the excitement in their eyes, and I especially love it when the little kids in the Star Wars costumes come up. They have this look of wonder. It's like, wow, look at those guys. And then some of them are actually brave enough to come up to give us a little leg hug. Some are a little scared, and that's okay, we can work with that. But those kids are great. This is part of why I do this. But it's just a lot of fun, that's all. I mean, the real life is hard enough. We need something to just remind us of the kid that we once were. If you're interested in this, just hit the main website, 501st.com. If you're here in Virginia, GarrisonTyrannus.com. Or just come out to one of our events and talk to us. We're really friendly. We love. We will talk your ear out about this kind of stuff. Come on out. You don't have to go full tilt with the costume right away. You can be what's called a handler. Just kind of help out, kind of get the feel of it. And if you want to decide you want to take the dive into it, let us know and we will get you started out.
Welcome to the
Rebel Legion. We had the idea to induct Alex into the Rebel Legion as an honorary member, as a hero of the rebellion. And also we wanted to surprise Alex with this guy right here, because Maul is his favorite character. We had Garrison Tyrannus here, we had Old Line Garrison here, and we had Terrapin Base here.
This is a huge deal. I think it's so awesome that people do this. Like, I mean, I didn't even know most of this existed. Like, I know people dress up every now and time to time, but I never knew about all these organizations and people actually taking the time to make the costumes and, dress up and everything. I think it's the coolest thing ever, and I want to do it when I'm older.
Oh man, I mean, I've been excited all week for this, so as soon as they contacted me and told me, I kind of tried to do everything I could to make sure I could come, and this is definitely a further troop than I'm used to doing, and there's a lot of logistics involved with becoming Darth Maul, but to make this kid's day, I mean, that just totally makes it worth it.
I was almost in tears myself. We got to spend an hour and a half with Alex and his mom on Tuesday night, and the young gentleman is such a caring and loving person that doing this for him today, I was teary. I was tearing up like the whole time, just to make his stay something that he can literally go to a galaxy far, far away and forget everything that he's got to go through.
Definitely. I mean, like yesterday I had a test I had to do, but I still wore Star Wars clothes. I had the Terrapin coin in my pocket through the whole thing too, and just whenever I go to doc's appointment, I'm always in something Star Wars, because it always helps me like kind of not really think about everything. I just get to think about Star Wars. I had one surgery that my surgeon said he had to use the Force to find his way through everything, and I love to put anything Star Wars I can in any situation. I would tell them that they should do this in a heartbeat, because it brings joy to so many people out there and kids out there, people like me. I mean, like, I'm still like so overwhelmed. I can't even express how happy this all has made me. And so I think if anyone's thinking of doing this, they should do it.
I think a lot of people don't understand why adults dress up in costumes. I think if more adults could come and see what we do as adults who dress up in costumes, and the reactions that kids of all ages, especially in situations in the hospitals and stuff, I think that they would view us maybe a little bit different and understand that it's not some silly costume. This represents happiness to another person.
This is MarsCon. It's a very relaxing, family-oriented, fun convention. There's lots of recruiting. There's a lot of come over to my side, we'll come to your side. We have an event coming up. You can come hang out with us as well. I get to see a lot of friends. I get to make new friends, new ideas, help people along the way if they're interested in getting into this. We did a Meet the 500 first. We've also done a Ladies of the Legion panel as well. Tomorrow we're going to be working on building your kit and sourcing out affordable parts. We've had a lot of interest. People are a little afraid of the build, but they're willing to sit down and see what they have for options.
We are at Big Lick Comic Con in Roanoke, Virginia. It's a general convention that we come to every year. They do it twice a year in February and in August. It's one of the larger conventions in this area of the state. I like to see it as recruiting for us. This is the one place that you're guaranteed to find people that like the same things that we do, so we can kind of reach out to them, show them what we do, what we're into, what we're all about. We get to talk to them kind of in an informal setting. You know, it's not something super serious. We're kind of laid back. We may not necessarily be in full costume. We might have our helmet off, so we can kind of show the people that there's actual people underneath the plastic.
This is an animatronic C-3PO that I've been wanting to build since I was 11 years old. When I saw the film in the theater in 1977, I was already 11. And I actually fell in love with this dude before R2. You know, most everybody loves R2, and there are more R2s in this room than anything. But I really wanted a 3PO, but that just wasn't practical at the time and hadn't been for a long time. So I went ahead and built R2s, in the past. But just in the past few years, the technology and the resources came into availability to make this kind of a thing possible with 3D printing, with hobby robotics, and all those kind of things.
So one of the ones we're doing here actually has a mechanical head and a silicone skin, and when you open the mouth, the lips curl and everything, and it's got a little hand mech. So that sort of stuff grew out of things. We had done the tour suits for Lucasfilm a few years ago. And that was a lot of research and development because we had access to the real masks from the old movies. And we had access to their current tour suits, and what we came up with was a new version of, it was faithful to the movements and the mechanics that Stuart Freeborn created, but in more sustainable materials.
It's one of the things I worked on digitally. I wanted to be a stormtrooper since I saw
Star Wars in 1977 in the theater when I was 4 years old. So if anyone's doing the math, that makes me 45. Wasn't something that was practical when I was a kid. And then, I get into my adult life, and then I got into 3D printing probably 7 years ago, I think, and I started making a few things, and I've been modeling for 25 plus years. I started modeling all the pieces. Granted, this was 6 months before the movie came out, so this would have been July of 2016. I got it completed by October and debuted it for the first time in October in Dallas. And when I was done with it, I took all the files and I just released them publicly to the community. Because I think for a lot of people, the idea, they want armor, but the idea of paying thousands of dollars for a kit it's outside their grasp, their immediate grasp. That's a lot of money to have to throw down on something. So I thought, well, if somebody could do this, they can do it a piece at a time. They can spend $20 on a roll of filament and they can make their arms one weekend or something,
Start small. Start with something that's manageable and that you can mess up on and redo. It doesn't have to actually work right off the bat because you'll learn a lot. And the first version of anything is hardly ever the one that you end up taking out and showing everyone.
Never tell yourself you can never do it because you don't know. Just get in and just start. Just start. You're going to fail a lot. You're going to screw up a lot because I did. But that's okay. That's how you learn. So you make it wrong, you make it again, and every time you make it, you do something wrong or do something right, you learn from it and you get better and you practice. Start with simple things. Make blasters or make lightsabers. Like start modeling a lightsaber because that's about the easiest thing that you can really kind of model. It's a series of tubes and boxes just assembled together. But you could actually model something pretty quickly and then print it, and then you have something in your hand that did not exist, that came purely out of your imagination into a real physical thing, and that is incredibly empowering to do.
Don't ever be intimidated by something you see that another artist has done. That is inspiration, that is fodder to make you better, not to make you stop. And whether you know how to use a computer or know how to do digital work, does not matter. Whether you are good with any particular material or not, does not matter. In this day and age, you can go on YouTube and become a semi-expert on any material within a matter of hours, probably less than that. So go out there, do the best you can with what you have, and make the limitations that you have in front of you the thing that drives you to find a creative solution and make something that you never thought you could do.
I think the weirdest was when we had to change in the old gym at the New Kent High School. They had all the weights all there and everything. There was no locks on the doors, no way to even get in until there was a couple guys already in there lifting when we got there.
In the back of my car. Yeah, trying to make sure everything, no one could see or anything like that. It was like first time doing it myself. And it was just one of those weird situations. You're not used to, just doing a parking lot change or anything like that. So I'm trying to get ready in my kit, in my car. Thank God I have an SUV, so I was able to lay in it, move around, and be able to get pieces on.
I think on an old railroad carriage, that was full of mud and dirt and cobwebs at the side of a baseball field.
It's a hassle sometimes, but I think the excitement for me for the event overwhelms the negative part.
Today it's all about autism, the 5K Family Fun Day, raising money.
Yeah, autism is something near and dear to our hearts. My wife and I both work with autistic children, and she actually works with them. I help her when I volunteer sometimes.
Yeah, there's a lot of people here and a lot of children, even adults with autism, but they all look like they're having a thoroughly good time.
It just makes their day to see their heroes, and it's just fun. I like it too. Photo ops, and it just adds so much life to everything.
When you get a leg hug or a smile on a kid's face, that makes every second of it worth it.
It's hard to explain, but it makes me giddy like a little girl, for lack of a better term. I just enjoy seeing the smiles on the kids' faces, everybody for that matter.
This is Tales from Tyrannus. All right.
Weird Al goes on tour, and wherever he goes, he pulls from the local 501st Legion organization, and we help him out. We are on stage with him, usually Darth Vader and maybe 8 to 10 stormtroopers, and we are part of his act.
Before today, I was starting to get very nervous about going on stage, but it's very easy. There's no need to be nervous at all. They walk you through it, you rehearse the movements multiple times. It's easy, it's exciting.
It was amazing. I mean, I've been a Weird Al fan since I can remember, and being able to be out there for that song is an amazing experience.
Yeah, this is one of those troops that is just pure fun. Again, it's work. It was just blazing hot out there. In fact, I'm kind of glad I was not in armor today. The hospital troops can be bittersweet. The cons are kind of work. But this is just, hey, we get to be on stage with a major celebrity and a huge Star Wars fan at that. So this is all great.
Yeah, I mean, if you ever have a chance to do this troupe, it's a great experience. The crew here treated us amazing. Al's obviously a fan. He treated us very well afterwards. It is a long day, but it is more than worth it.